finance manager. So we can keep here finance, then log on tab. Then we can give the initial password also.
Vikas,
Yes.
y- are you doing the recording?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So then here we can add here like a from date and to date. Okay, that we can keep. And then we are seeing like in the default, if in case if you want to keep a default, we can keep a default like this. And then we can select the printer who could be the printer. So date, time, and decimal notations we have seen like how we can create it. Then we can keep here the printer name as well. So any printer we can select and utilize it. Print now and delete after output like this. Inputs we can select. Then we have something like a parameters. Parameters also we have seen that will be completely dependent on the user which transaction he is using, and within the transaction which field he want to make it default. Okay, so that is the purpose of this. Suppose this person is using a finance related transaction where the company code is coming. So and he is working for a specific thousand company for this example. So we keep here the parameters like a company code and we fill the value like 1000. So whenever this user is trying to do anything in the finance area, the 1000 company code will be visible for him. Okay, that is the purpose of it. Then here we have the option for the role, so we can add a role based on his responsibility. So like what is his role and what kind of specific activity you want to perform. So what we can do, we can come here and then we can select a specific role for him based on his responsibility. So suppose he is working for the warehouse clerk, and then we can add here a warehouse clerk to him. And whenever we are adding any role, by default, the system will take the starting date as a current date and end date is 31/12/1999. That means this role is assigned to this user for this many duration, unlimited period of time that we can consider. And once we save, this will be getting saved to the user like here. Okay, so that is the purpose of it. Then uh, here in that section, like what we are talking about, we'll be talking about. See, each of the role will have containing one profile. So what that means a profile here. So the profile and a role is like a one-to-one relation. So somebody assigned like directly the profile, but let's see that. So what we see here, once we create any role, so there is one profile linked with it. So if you open the PSCG and then open the role, oh, what happened? System, where's that system? System gone. Okay, then we go to the PFC. So see this icon. Once you click on this icon, what will happen here? It will open one more screen to you. Okay, that is the purpose of it. One more parallel screen to you. So in the advantage, like in one screen you can run a specific transaction, another screen you can run another transaction. That is the purpose of it. Once you run PFCG, then you can see this screen is appearing, and you can add here the different type of roles and transactions here, right? That is the purpose of it. And then like the roles which we assign to the user. Like for this user, we assign this role, right? This is the role. But if you open this role, let's see what this role have. So if you go to this authorization, then you can see one profile. So this is like a profile is there. Once whenever you go to the role, one profile is assigned. So what will happen? The corresponding profile is also assigned here. So let's see that TAH, TAH. So T hyphen AH C5. So let's remove this other profile. This profile is assigned to the user. Mm, mhm. Interesting one. So if you remove here, automatically the profile is removed. You can say the profile is been removed from the user, right? So, for example, if you assign this role for the user, you can see a profile is assigned. There is some exception for this. Somebody made some modification, but otherwise, each role will always have one profile. So, if we assign this role, for example, this role had this profile, so that we can check it here. So, if you remove it, automatically the profile is removed. So, if you suppose remove it, then you can see here the profile is also automatically removed. As soon you add, the profile added. So, that is the purpose of it, right? Okay. So what that means here, the role and profile have one-to-one relation. So we really don't have to do anything here. Okay. Uh, so that is this idea, role and profile idea, and then leave for this group for the moment. Just a moment, we'll be coming back to this group, and then we have the license data. So see, as I mentioned in the yesterday class, so whenever we are creating any user, so SAP is going to charge some license fees for using the SAP software. And for that reason, like what we have to create, based on the type of users, SAP is going to charge the money from the client. So if a user who is a working as a normal user, like the basic activity he's performing in SAP, for example, a basic employee, and then he has to do like applying the leave, checking their basic salary and all. So this will be considered as a basic employee. Okay. And then the person who is making a configuration, who is designing like a tax calculations, who is doing a lot of things, right? So that user is treated as a like a power user kind of this, user. So SAP will charge from the client based on the type of users and the number of users. Okay. So how we can categorize the users as a different type. So this will be decided by SAP uh, as a agreement with the client. So like SAP say, if this kind of users is there, they are going to charge this much amount, and there is always the negotiation will happen with SAP. So SAP will do the negotiation, and based on that, the category can be created, and the category has to be assigned based on the access. So if somebody like who is a programmer who will be charged more. Somebody who is just running a basic thing will be charged less. Somebody who will be like having like a maximum access will be charged more, or who will be having a basic little bit more access, not the basic but more than basic access. So they will be charged like a middle uh, value, right? So this is will decided based on the client, this client and SAP decision, and then these categories can be created. So it is not a fixed category. For one client, maybe this many categories will be there, but for other client, maybe some different user is there. For example, just example, I'm saying like a advanced user, the core users, self-service users. So for this kind of user, like the person, suppose this user test 89 is a self-service user, like they are using, the person is using for their own basic services, like as I mentioned, applying leave, checking their like a leave record, checking their own salary slip or payment thing. So basic thing they are doing, right? So they are considered as a self-service user. Whereas if the user is using like a technical user, so that can be considered as a technical user. Or if any user is a developer, so they will be treated as a development user, right? So or advanced user, if he is doing a lot of things, then he become an advanced user. So this is how we can define the users as a different type, and that's how it will be done. Okay. So this is okay, everyone. Any question till here?
Because your license data, na, based on the user type, the particular
Hmm.
their cost of the license, no?
Correct, correct. So if we categorize, for example, this user as a advanced user, so for example, take an instance only. So SAP will charge 100 euro per year. Just example, right? But if you
Mhm.
if this user is categorized as a self-service user, so SAP will charge maybe 5 euros per year. Okay.
Okay.
And then
And
like
one
if
more
the
thing,
basic, yeah, if the basic user quantity is 100 into 500 euros, they will charge. But if you have 10 advanced user, then 10 into 100, they will charge 1000 euro per year, right?
what is the relationship between the roles and profiles?
So, so see, the role and profile is one-to-one relation. So each of the role will have one profile, unique profile. Okay, and
More
uh,
than one profile, it possible or it can't possible?
yeah, oh, means come again?
More than one profile against the
No,
one
no,
role.
no, not possible.
So
See, the idea of profile little history is behind. So if like in some year before, like or some year in the sense, like 20, 30 year before one SAP was there. So SAP is using only the profile concept. Okay. But if I ask you, like if you want to assign this user for some role, so I would say that you remember this profile number. TAH350066 is nothing but your sales manager profile. So this is easier for you to remember, or this is easier? ZSD sales manager. Name is easier, right? So what SAP did, SAP will still not change everything there. What they did, they encapsulate the role name with profile. Correct? So if you assign this role, that's what I'm saying. If you assign this role, so it is easier for you to remember, easier for you to read, right? And then once you assign, anyhow, ultimately in the backend side, this profile is there, which is nothing but containing your authorizations. Okay. So this is how it is being defined. Like if you see the packaging outside, you are running a car, but inside you have a lot of engines and everything. If you not cover, it will be looking ugly, right? Or it is difficult for see that. Correct, na? If it doesn't have the bonnet, for example, it will not feel looking good. Correct, na? So that is how you can consider. Like a role is a beautification of the name that we can consider. And then it is ultimately like if you assign this, ultimately this will be assigned to the user. Okay. So that is the reason for that. Okay. So see, no. The point here is if they want to remove the profile, then they have to make a change for code, right? Their original code they have to remove. So they don't want to make a lot of changes. So what they did, they will add a additional code as a name as a role, and then they link the role with the profile in the code. That's it. So they doesn't really change anything fundamental code written behind the profile. That is still the same. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, but good question, good understanding, everyone. Very good. So that's the thing. All right. So Priyanka, any question from you?
No, sir.
Okay. Then we come back to this group section. So see, the group is like to categorize the type of users. So again, this categorization is especially like to understand, like if I say we have 1,000 users and we want to know that how many users working as a manager, right? So so to find it easier, then if we assign a group as a manager, if we create a group as a manager and assign all the managers, either it is sales manager or maybe purchase manager or any other manager, so it is easier for us to assign the group to the user, right? So easier to find actually. Okay. So so that is the purpose of the group here. So we can create a group in the user in the SAP and assign the specific user with the specific user group. Okay. So or maybe like a location as a group you can create. So if a user working in India or working uh, for India, then you can create a group as a India and then assign here. So then user is categorized as a these users are working in India, right? So that way it is easier, correct? Fine, everyone. So now let's see how we can create a group and then how we can assign the group here, okay? And how we can find the group. So I just click on this button, then what will happen? It will open one more parallel screen, okay? Or either we can use the existing parallel screen. So SUGR. So this is the transaction code. This is the command to create a user group. So if you run this, then this screen is appearing. So what you can do here, you can add here the user as a group. So India or manager, any group you can create. Click on create, correct? And then save it. That's all. So simple. So this is how we can create a group. Then what you can do, you can copy either the manager as a group and go to your user. This is your user screen, right? And then in the user screen, like you have the group, and then you can add the manager and then say, oh, this user is being assigned with the manager as a group. Then maybe you can add this group for maybe Priyanka also, just an example, right? Where to go? Group, and then we add as a manager, right? Similarly for maybe Upendra also, if you want to make him manager or he's working as a manager, so we go here and the group, we can assign the group to the manager. So so like if tomorrow like we want to see how many users working as a manager, so so like either we have to go here and check the role whether it is a role as a uh, okay here no role is there, but assume like it is also assigned with some manager role. So either we have to go and see all the users who have been assigned with the manager role. That is one option. Or otherwise, you have another option to find the users as a manager. So you can have an option for SUIM as a transaction. So SUM transaction also we are going to learn in detail, but one first option we are just going to explore. So this SUIM transaction, SUIM, this transaction is specially used for the purpose of finding the user and the role information. So if you go here user, then if you go here user by complex selection criteria here, then if you go here user by complex selection criteria, so here we have the user group here, right? So here, sorry, user group for general. So if you keep here manager, means you want to know all the list of users who is working as a manager or have been assigned with manager group. So keep here the manager, and if you run it, so it will show you the list of users who is being assigned in the manager as a group. So Priyanka, Test 89, and Upendra, right? Correct now, everyone? Understood, everyone?
Yes,
Any question?
uh, got it. Here SUAMS command.
SUIM.
Okay,
SUIM.
got it.
Okay, SUIM.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
So that way it is easier for us to know. Otherwise, if suppose we just run it for three users, but if you assume like if you out of 10,000, 10,000 is the user as a working as a manager, so it is easier for you to find. Like just keep or create a group as a manager and assign all this 1,000 user as a manager. And if you run the report out of 10,000, it will show you who are the people who's been assigned with the user group manager. Correct? Okay. So that is the purpose of this user group here. Okay, these transactions anyhow mentioned in the like our PPT as well. Okay, how to create a user group and how to assign the user group that has been mentioned here. Then we are going to see some more details also. Let's see that. So address tab we have seen, logon tab we have seen, and then we have seen the default tab, the parameters tab we also have seen, right? Then we have seen like how to create a parameter, how to find the parameter and assign the specific value in the parameters. And then after the parameter tab, we will be having an option for assigning like here, likewise. And then we have seen the role tab, so we can assign the role and then valid from and valid to is the options here. And then here we have the profile tab. So one thing here, as I mentioned, like profile is the old concept. So previously, like some 20 or 30 years before, once we don't have any role concept. So SAP have created two important profiles. Okay, like SAP all and SAP new. So always remember everyone. So this is a profile also which will be providing access to user. So if you assign this profile SAP all and SAP new to any user, so he is able to execute any transaction or all the transaction that we can consider. Okay. So that's the reason we never assign this role, development role and production role. Sorry, like in the production system, SAP all and SAP new profile to anybody in the production system or production landscape. We have seen like development, quality, and production. The landscape is there, right? So in the production system, we are not going to assign this profile SAP all and SAP new. Okay, so that you always has to remember it. Okay. So here, if suppose we assign this profile to pen, but no role. So then open is able to execute all the transaction, SAP transaction, standard transaction. Okay. So that's the reason we never assign these role, these profiles, sorry, SAP all and SAP new to anybody. And this will be also one interview question, that is it okay to assign SAP all and SAP profile to anybody in the system? So your answer will be no, we are not going to assign SAP all and SAP profile to anybody in the production system. Okay.
क्या बैठे थे पढ़ो?
All right,
Sir,
Aryan.
what
Any
if in the interview they ask what is the difference between role and profile, then what can we say?
so the difference is like a role and profile. Like we can say profile is the old concept to provide access to a user. The new concept is role, and
बाबा इधर तो
and
इधर
and
बहुत
then
है ये
once. Uh, so can you be on mute? Okay. So here the point here, whenever we are uh, assigning a role, automatically profile is assigned. Okay. So difference is like whenever we are creating a role, the profile is automatically generated. But the profile also we can create separately as well, which will be also assigned to the user, which is old concept that we can say. So, or we
Okay.
can say in this way, access will be provided with the role and also with the profile. But a role is the new way to assign the access to a user because it is easier for the user to assign a role. Okay, ultimately the access will be coming from profile itself only. Okay, so previously actually here these options were there in the older systems, the new system. So suppose if assume like if you assign the role, the profile assigned. So previously we had the option to delete a profile from here. So if you delete a profile from here, though the role is showing, but it will not provide the access for that role. Okay, but in the new system, it is not allow you to delete a profile. If you have the independent profile which is not linked with any role, then you can remove. So you can remove, for example, SAP all or SAP new because it's not linked with any profile. Okay, all right, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everybody, any question now? Okay, okay. Group tab. So we have learned, and we have learned license data also, correct? And okay, adding a references that we'll see sometime later. Okay. And then we are seeing like a user group creation. So yes, here is the way to create a user and assign the user to a user group. That's what we have seen. And today we are going to see some more things. Okay, let's
Sir,
change this thing.
one question, sir, I forgot actually.
Yeah.
Sir, if you go back to that SU01 transaction in SAP,
Mhm.
yeah, click on display, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, here, if you go to log on data, what is the difference between this user group and that group, sir?
Mm. So this area we are going to cover, but I will tell you the difference, everybody. So here, see, here the user group is like categorized the user. Okay, so like the user is working as a manager or user is working in this location or other location, right? So that is to categorize the user. Whereas we also have one user group assignment here. What is the purpose of it here? So the purpose is like uh, it is giving a authorization to the administrator to modify this user or not. Okay. So with the example, maybe I will explain you everybody. Actually, to show this practically, we have to know some extent like a role creation thing. That bit is easier, but I will tell you the concept. So assume like we had the users like a working in US. So like US 01, take example like these are the users are there, right? And then we also have the user who is working in UK. Take example like UK 1. Okay. So assume like these two type of users we have. One, these user US 01 to 09 who is working in US, and these user working for UK. Okay, till here fine. And then your company say that if we have the US security admin, this person able to modify anything, changing the password, doing anything for these US to US 9 users because they belong to US, right? If he is trying to modify these users, he is not able to modify any user in the UK. And same is vice versa for UK also. So if any administrator who is working for UK as a security administrator, so he is allowed to modify any user who is working in UK, sorry, but he is not able to modify any user for who is working in the US. Okay. So if this kind of requirement you have, then what we are going to do here, we are going to create a US as a user group, and then maybe you can create a UK as a user group, and then if you assign the user group US to all these people, UK to all these people, and then you can create a admin role for the US people. So he is allowed with the US user group, and then if you assign create a admin role and assign to this user with UK, so that is how it's been restricted. Okay, so so if this user trying to do, is not able to do this. If he's trying to do this, any changes he is not able to do because he is authorized to make change for the users who belong to the UK user group. Similarly, this person is only able to access or make a change for the user group who belong to US user. Right? That can be achieved with the help of authorization user group. So this US user group we have to assign to all the user and authorization users here in this place. Here. Okay. The logic you got it, everybody.
Okay, so here is the admin group assigned, sir. Is it so only okay?
No, no. The the location wise.
Okay.
Okay. We create a role, and in that role, admin we have to assign the admin has to modify the users based on the user group. So that access we provide into the role.
Hmm.
Suppose you are working in Canada, right? And then take example in US instead of US, it is a Canada. So we give you the access of SU01 only for this Canada user group users.
Mm-hmm.
So you can able to modify only the users whom you have assigned the user group Canada.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the idea here.
Got it, sir.
Okay. This anyhow we are going to show practically everybody. So since it is required some role changes, that's what I not covered this so far. Okay. But I just tell you the logic. So if you understand the logic, how we can do that, that anyhow we can see in practical into the system. Okay. All right, everybody. So now we are going to see a new thing here, like how we can create a different type of users. So here we also have the different type of users in SAP. So so if you go to SU01 for example, and if we create a user as the type of service user like SER, I'm just creating. So there will be a type of users like which we call as service user. And the purpose of this kind of users is like during a testing period. So suppose you want to give one user ID, which is a generic user ID for 10 people. Uh, so he is able to use this generic user ID to perform his responsibility. So, so responsibility in the sense this is not belong to any user. And second thing, like once we are creating this testing ID is service ID, so multiple people can log in at a time. Take example like we have the service ID created, and then the service ID, first of all, like if we create a service ID and share the password, so we don't have to change the password. So first of all, like let's see that property first. So if you want to create a service ID, so we can have here in the logon tab one fields. That field we call as a user type, right? So if we have the field like a user type, and then if you select here the user type as a service, so what will happen? This user is categorized as service ID, and if you give the password to any tester, so they doesn't have to change the password after your first login. But for other dialog ID, we have to change the password, right? So if suppose we just copy this user, we are trying to log in with this user in the system. So see, we logged in, that need to change, right? No? Did you observe or no?
No, sir.
Not observe. Okay. So see, I'm just creating one more ID. Let's see here. Service 01. I just creating this ID. Click on create. Then we go to the logon. And here user type is there. I just change the type of the user as service type. Then we click on welcome 123. I just keep the password, just say any password. Welcome 123. And if I save here, the user has been created. And suppose I share the password to the tester. Tester do go to their machine, open the system, and keep here the user ID, service one, 200 is the client. And then if I keep here the password like welcome 123, I'm pressing enter. So now you see that system is not asked to change the password. But otherwise, for other ID, like a dialog ID, once we try to log in, system will show that please change the password. Correct, na?
Okay, sir.
Right now, everybody. And second, also important thing. So if I log in again also with this user, or suppose I logged in, but like Upen try to log in again with the same ID. Welcome 123. He is also able to log in. So means multiple people is able to log in with this ID. So that could be possible here. Okay. So that is one point. And and then whereas with the dialog ID, like the ID which belong to the living person, like Upendra, me, you, all everybody is live people, right? So if we are trying to log in, like for Priyanka, for example, so if we are trying to log in, suppose I created the ID first or I reset the password for Priyanka, for example, and it is a kind of dialog ID, misleading person. Welcome 123. And I just save this. And now I try to log in to the SAP system as a Priyanka. Let's keep here the Priyanka ID. Welcome 123. So see, the first time once you try to log in or if I reset the password, it is asking to change the password, right? Welcome 123. So we have to change the password. 11321. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay, I just logged in with Priyanka. I suppose somebody else or Priyanka again want to log in the same ID, then what system will say? So she already logged in with her ID after changing a password. So she again log in or somebody steal the password of Priyanka as you. What system says again that user Priyanka is already logged in the client this one, terminal of this. Note that multiple logon to the production system using the same user ID and password is not the part of SAP licensing agreement. Okay. So means SAP will not say you multiple person can share the password and login to save the cost, right? Correct, no? So that's the reason. One person, one login for the dialog ID. Okay. Okay. All right, everybody. It is asking either to terminate this logon or terminate other logon. If you do that, other logon will be terminated. All right, everybody. Understood? So in a interview question, this is also a interview question. So what is the difference between the service ID and dialog ID? So the dialog ID is for the living person, whereas the service ID is only for the testing perspective. It does not belong to any person, right? That is one important thing. The second important thing, like in the dialog ID, once we log in first time, it is asking to change the password, right? But whereas in the service ID, it's not asked to change the password. So whatever the password we do or we set, that will become the production password, okay, or productive password. So any question by anyone till this point? All okay? And anything from you? Priyanka, any question from you?
No,
Akshay?
sir.
Understood now everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then the time for assignment, I just give you some assignment also again. So you got the Excel late, everybody, but you have the time now. So you all can try and do your. Okay. So what we are going to do now. Okay. So this assignment we are given you last class. Okay. So that we will going to see you this assignment maybe before the next class. Okay. All right. So I'm going to extend this. So what we have to do, creating a service ID. So like 090, I'm just saying. Not this one. Let's do it this way. Okay. So like for example, Akshay has to create one service ID with the name of SER090, SER Priyanka has to create. So you all has to create these basic service ID. Okay. Same one. Okay. And then the next step, next thing is, so you have to create a user group using this SUGRT code. So like, okay, so Upen has to create US004 and US005, and Akshay, Priyanka, and Kavya has to create UK01, 02, and 03. User group. Okay, so these two is the homework for you, everybody, and then you had to do this. I'll just share everything for the moment for you to do. Okay, and actually one more. After creating a user group, and then assign. So like what you have to do, like you already created perhaps these many user test ID, right? So if you create test ID, for example, this, I just copy this, that is a better line. Okay. Then assign the user group to these users like the corresponding one. So this user group you have to assign to these people. Okay. Understood now? Means you already created these users. Let's say, for example, these user you can create now and then assign this UK user group to the user. Uh, Assigning the user group to the user in user group tab. Okay. So that is your assignments. All right. Let's do that. And first of all, let me just take this one. Everyone, right? Let's take one. Okay. Service ID, same SU01. Only thing like where you are the user group, user type, na, that you have to make a difference as a user type to the dialog to the user service. Yes, that's correct. Okay.
Sir, for the
Yes.
access details, did you send any emails, sir? I did.
Yes, yes.
I'm
I will be sending you, but
okay, okay, okay,
just 1 minute only. Okay. On
okay,
WhatsApp,
sir.
I'll send. Okay. So just send you everybody. Okay. So that is about for all, but be ready for the next classes for 1.5, like 1.5 hours. And then you can see a little more detail. But do your practice regularly, everybody. Don't be like leave anything because it's really important that prospecting. Okay. But for now, that's all for today's, and let's meet tomorrow. Then. Oh, sorry, not tomorrow. Like next weekend. Okay. Next Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. The same link and same time, 9 p.m. India time. Okay. All right.
Okay, sir.
So then, take care. Bye bye. Have a nice day.